Nigeria has one of the highest mortgage rates in Africa. A sample carried out showed that at 25% in 2020, Nigeria's double-digit mortgage rate was topped only by Zambia and Guinea. Can more affordable housing come to Africa's largest economy? Well, joining us to discuss further is Amara Musa, founder and CEO of real estate firm Wren Regent. Amara, you're very welcome. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rotas. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. So I want to ask you today, what do you make of the high level of uncompleted buildings across all these African cities?
I think it's a reflection on of the economy.
Okay.
I think that it's a prevailing situation. It's undeniable. It's definitely not something that you can hide.
Exactly.
When there are high rises on ground and they don't have a roof over their heads. So I definitely see the situation as a reflection of where the economy is at. And it also shows how much work needs to be had in the industry.
Now, you deal in the luxury real estate space. Because, what the buildings we're showing on our screen now, these aren't, a lot of them aren't luxury buildings, but this is something that's prevalent across. In your sector, are there several uncompleted luxury buildings in Lagos?
I mean, it goes back to what you were saying. Housing is housing. So if there are incomplete buildings in these urban areas, ensure that though the brick and mortar may be placed differently, the problem still extends to that area, the luxury market.
So what kind of solutions do you think we should be looking at to try to solve that, whether it's for your sector or across board in other in Nigeria and other African cities?
Okay, so firstly, it's important to sort of diagnose or analyze the root problem. Okay. And when we're able to do that, then we can then think of solutions, right? And what one needs to have in mind at the moment is how far government is working towards helping the situation. Now, when government comes into the acceptance that this is a situation that needs radical change, then we can start talking about progress and solutions that can be had. Now, if we do pass that stage of government actually taking the bull by the horn and understanding that this is a situation that needs to be addressed, then we can then tackle the problem. Developers.
Okay.
Developers need support. They need financing. A lot of projects are personally financed from pockets.
Right.
Very few developers are giving the opportunity or the chance to attach themselves to a finance body. So you see that people depend on the income coming into the projects to be able to finance the project. So they have their initial equity to put down, and then they're hoping that as they sell, they can build some more. But then, what if they can't sell within the time they thought about? What if people aren't buying?
Right.
The developers themselves also need to be educated on investing in marketing. There is no point putting an investment worth billions of naira and you can't spend 10 million naira on marketing. It's actually pretty sad.
Gotcha.
So, yes, it's very, very easy to blame it on government, but we as individuals, we as players in the industry also need to step up and realize what needs to be done in order to get the properties out there for people to know about them. Also, entry into developments as well. Developers are overambitious, overzealous about how much money one needs to commit to engage in a project. Money is hard. Make entry easy. Create a payment plan that allows flexibility and allows for people to engage into your project without feeling like they're being strangled.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that. We just played in our previous segment a special report with Leila Johnson-Salami on the Lagos housing crisis, the issues of discrimination and this and that, so on. What do you make of that other situation also in real estate in this country?
The housing crisis is not a new situation in Nigeria. It's been something that's been ongoing for a period of time. And no matter how much Nigeria tries to solve it, it's almost like a sinking sand.
Right.
There's a deficit of about 20 million units. And in order to bridge that gap, we need 300 trillion naira. That's a lot of money.
Right.
So where is it going to come from? That's what we are asking. And even when the situation presents itself to solve it, how are we going to solve it? So we need to have sustainability models. We need to have good implementation systems. And we need to have like-minded people and organizations to be able to execute accordingly. Yeah.
Gotcha. I want to ask, I might have asked you this before when you've been on the show. How many, outside of Lagos, how many other viable luxury markets are there in Nigeria?
How can you ask me that now, Process?
I have to, because, it's commercial capital, there's 36 states.
Nigeria is a robust economy.
Yes.
Look at Abuja.
Okay.
Abuja is known to house wealthy magnates,
Right.
high net worth individuals. That's where the capital is. So naturally, it'd be attached to a lot of affluence and wealth. But that's an obvious one. There's also rivers.
Okay, so we're at 3 now. We're 3 out of 36.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So Port Harcourt, their capital state, is robust for its
oil and gas.
And
right.
Expatriates love our oil and gas industry, and their housing industry needs to be able to accommodate for such people coming in, which now leads to the requirement for grade A buildings in that area.
Great stuff. I want to ask you about mortgages. We had a survey, I think we put it up, of interest rates across. We ranked, Nigeria was ranked, I think, for 2020. I think it's average for 2020. Amara, 25%. I mean, topped, yeah, there it is, topped by only Zambia and Guinea. How, looking at this mortgage situation, how do we bring those rates down?
First of all, I'd say give Nigeria some credit. We also beat Ghana, Mozambique, Cameroon, and Malawi.
It's expensive, Amara. It's expensive.
But that being said, yes, the mortgage system in Nigeria is almost, for lack of a better word, dysfunctional. Yes, so when you're having rates at 25%, it's quite discouraging to engage in a mortgage. But then it's enough to say, oh, why can't they give lower mortgage rates? It's now a factor of the state of the economy as well. Basically, mortgage is highly affected by inflation.
Gotcha.
Right, so if inflation is high, mortgage is going to be high. So when you put yourself in the lender's shoes, let's say inflation is at 10%.
And it's 18 right now.
Let's use 18%.
Right.
So let's say inflation is at 18%, and then the mortgage rate is at 20%. The lender's only real value there is just 2% rate. So then you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, is it actually worth it?
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's go ahead.
Sorry, not sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
As apart from the interest rate, let's also take into account how much equity needs to be paid up front.
Correct. The down payments from those who want to get those mortgages.
You're looking at 30 to 70%. You might as well buy yourself a house.
Is that right? Exactly. And not even bother with a mortgage at all.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So this is why I went back to what I said originally about the mortgage system being slightly dysfunctional. For it to work, it's not just looking at the housing sector, it's looking at the economy as a whole and about fixing and nursing the economy itself before then being able to, it's like dominoes, isn't it?
Right.
So for it to work, inflation needs to work.
Also, and I've talked to you about this in the past, the length of time, I don't know, I unfortunately have to bring up the West, the 20, 15, 30 plus year mortgages on that side of the world. Here, max is what, 12, 18 months for you to pay it off. Can you speak to that? That's another difficulty that people face. So one, the equity you're putting down is your lot. The mortgage rate is high, inflation is high, and then you've only got a year, 18 months. So I know the federal mortgage plan, I think that gives you about 15 or so, but I don't know as far as participation, how many people are there. But the length of time, Amara, at least on the developer side, it's not enough. It's essentially what people are saying. What do you make of that?
Well, 18 months is not usually what the duration is for payment terms. These are usually what private investors can afford to give you based on their own liquidities and room for being able to give you a period of time to pay off your mortgage. Okay, like a country like Senegal, for instance, they have more support from their government. Their government gives their banks guarantees. So they are able to be more flexible in their payment terms with their buyers. Nigerian developers get no support. So they can only give you a period of 18 to 24 months. However, there are other schemes like the National Housing Fund, which is a totally different topic entirely. But this is what we have available. We have expensive interest rates, or zero interest rates and very little time to pay it off.
How do you, how has your sector managed with the pandemic? We're now just kicking off the second month of the second quarter of May. Are things improving with lockdown restrictions being eased and so on?
I mean, these are definitely unprecedented times.
Indeed.
I don't think any one of us living on this planet Earth right now has gone through this COVID pandemic ever. So that being said, there were several analyses of how things would pan out and how things would come into order. But then really and truly, who is to say? Yes, natural circumstances of a declining economy has happened.
Correct, yeah.
There is excess supply, lower demand. The fall in the oil price has weakened the naira. So there is less availability of funds. The spending power your naira had a while ago is not the same as it is now. Yes, those things are happening. However, the real estate market has presented a vibrant opportunity for liquid investors, for serious-minded investors who are able to explore. Now is a buyer's market. A buyer's market is basically a market where supply exceeds demand and investors now have the upper hand in negotiations and pricing. So you're getting a lot of flexibility in that range. And as a liquid investor or as an investor who is futuristic in his investment portfolio, now is a good time to take advantage, and definitely a good playing field for someone like me.
Optimistic way to end the segment. Amara Musa, CEO, founder, Wren Regent. Thank you so much for talking about the real estate sector in Nigeria. Really appreciate it. I have to have you back.